Hi everyone and welcome to my seashell decoupage series. Let's talk about shells. You can decoupage all different kinds, and here I have a few examples to show you. I've got some clamshells, a selection of scallop shells in different sizes, and a few oyster shells. Now you might be wondering where to get shells. Well, mine came from a few different places. I bought the scallop shells on Amazon, and I will leave a link in the description box to the different sizes I've purchased before. These oyster shells I collected from the beach, but be sure to check your local guidelines to make sure collecting shells is legal in your area. Shells from the beach are much cleaner and smoother, so they require less prep work. These, on the other hand, came from a local restaurant. They are a bit sharper on the edges and were definitely a pain to clean. And these clamshells came from a local restaurant as well. If you have one nearby serving seafood, just go and ask. You never know, they might have some they are willing to part with. I picked up these shells from a local oyster bar. They were kind enough to run them through a dishwasher, but I don't think it made much difference. They are still pretty dirty and really stinky. The first thing I'm going to do is soak them in a soapy water and scrub off any dirt and leftover meat that's still stuck to the shells. First, I brush off anything loose, including all the meat, using a regular brush or a toothbrush. For more stubborn spots, I switch to a wire brush. I highly recommend wearing gloves to protect your hands. After I finish scrubbing, I'm going to boil the shells for about 30 minutes. Boiling helps kill any bacteria, loosens up anything that's still stuck, and gets rid of some of that strong smell. After 30 minutes of boiling, I'll take them off the heat and let them cool down. Once they are safe to handle, I'll rinse them and place them in a bleach solution. I use about 1 part bleach to 5 parts water. The bleach helps whiten the shells, disinfect them, and remove any lingering odors. Soak them for at least 30 minutes, but don't leave them in longer than an hour, since that can weaken the shells. After they are done soaking in the bleach solution, I'll rinse them and give them another scrub. Now you might think this sounds like overkill, but trust me, if you don't clean them thoroughly, they will stink. Just like before, I'll place them in soapy water and keep scrubbing with a toothbrush. For those stubborn spots, I like to use a pick, but be careful, you don't want to poke yourself. Once they are nice and clean, I will leave them out in the sunshine and let the sun take care of the rest. The sunlight helps bleach the shells naturally, gets rid of any lingering odor, and makes sure they are fully dry. I usually leave them out for at least a week. After a week, the shells are noticeably whiter. I'll check to make sure there is no lingering smell, and if everything looks good, I'll collect them and they'll be ready for crafting. If there is still a bit of odor, I will leave them outside for a longer period of time. To make an ornament to hang on your Christmas tree or a garland like this, you'll need to have a hole in your shell. I'll show you how I make the holes in the oyster shells. You'll need a piece of scrap wood, a mask so you don't breathe in the shell particles, and a drill. I like to drill my holes before I paint the shell because sometimes the shell can crack. It really doesn't take long at all, and once you've done it a couple of times, you'll get a hang of it. See how easy that was? Now your shell is ready for the next step. Shells often have blemishes and imperfections, and some of those can be fixed. You'll want to aim for a smooth surface, so anything that grew inside the shell can be carefully knocked off with a pick. Here are just a few examples along with how I like to handle them. Other things to watch for are small holes or uneven surfaces. For those, I like to use spackling paste. Just apply a thin layer and let it completely dry. Once it's dry, gently smooth it with a high grit sandpaper to get a nice even finish. These oyster shells I got from a restaurant have sharp edges, so I like to smooth them out with my Dremel. Make sure to do this in a well-ventilated area and wear a mask. You don't want to be breathing in all that shell dust. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. In the next episode, I'll go over the napkins and show you how to prep them for decoupage. Thanks for watching and see you then!